My name is Alana. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and addiction recovery specialist. I want to talk today about our minds and the thoughts that they generate. Our minds are constantly feeding us thoughts and things that we should believe, we should latch onto, we should hold on to as truth, and the reality is that we don't need to do that. We can simply acknowledge our thoughts as they come and let them pass, but this is a lot easier said than done. So what I want to do today is give you some ideas on ways that you can make those thoughts a little less sticky, a little less impactful, a little less heavy. So I'm wondering if you've ever been in a position where you wanted to go do something, but your mind told you that you couldn't or shouldn't, that it would end badly, and so you didn't do the thing that you wanted to do. For example, feeling like you really wanted to go to this social outing, but you were having the thought that maybe you would be anxious or people would judge you, or you didn't have the right thing to wear, and so you stayed home. You didn't go do the thing that you cared about doing because your mind was feeding you a story and you bought into it. Our minds are constantly trying to get us to believe certain things about ourselves and the world around us that aren't always helpful. So for a moment, I want you to think the thought, I can't raise my right hand. I can't raise my right hand. I can't raise my right hand. Now, see if you can have the thought, I can't raise my right hand, and raise your right hand anyway. Were you able to do it? So even when we're having the thought that we can't do something, we can still physically do it. So our thoughts are not facts. Now what if you picked something up from your room, an item, anything that you can find near you, or in my case, a branch from a tree that I'm sitting under, and I asked you to come up with a critical thought about it. Could you find something to criticize about this branch? Maybe that it's crooked, that it's covered in pollen and my hands are getting dirty now because the pollen in Tahoe right now is insane. And we can usually do this about ourselves too. It's not hard to come up with critical thoughts about ourselves. In fact, most of us don't have to put any energy into it, they just come. But what do we do when that thought comes? Do we let it pass without attaching to it, or do we climb inside of it and get snuggly with it and really try it on and believe it to be true? Even if our mind gives us a positive thought, such as, you're a great friend, oftentimes we can climb inside of that and criticize ourselves for that as well. Well, we're not as good of a friend as Sally, or we could have done this better, right? Our minds naturally want to compare and make us feel less than or worse than, or not good enough. One way that we can try to practice reducing the impact of our thoughts is trying to look at the thought rather than from the thought. So if we can try to place distance between ourselves and the thought, it will make the thought less powerful. For example, if when we're feeling anxious, we say to ourselves, I'm having the thought that I'm feeling anxious, rather than I am anxious, it helps to diffuse our thoughts from ourselves just a little bit. When I say diffuse, I mean detangle, right? A fusion is something being really wrapped up in the other thing. They're one, they're woven together. Diffusion means creating some separation and some space here. So this is a practice of creating more space between our thoughts and our story about ourselves. Diffusion is the process in which we can recognize that we are people having thoughts, we are not our thoughts themselves. This doesn't mean that we're just going to stop having thoughts, but it means that we don't have to hold them so tightly, so rigidly, and believe them to be absolute truths. The goal is to be more present in the here and now so that we can enjoy what's happening around us rather than being stuck in our thoughts. This allows us to engage in the world around us in a meaningful way, to do the things that we value and we care about without letting our minds make our world smaller. Okay, a bit of a fun exercise. I want you to spend the next 30 seconds thinking about bananas. Think about what they look like, color, texture, shape. I want you to think about what they taste like. Are you able to recall the taste of a banana, whether it's overripe or underripe, all the different ways that you've consumed bananas, really think about bananas. Now, our language system is sophisticated enough where you're probably able to recall a lot of banana experiences and smelling and thinking and tasting bananas without having an actual banana near you. Our thoughts can do the same thing. We can get really wrapped up in it and believe it to be true and experience it without it actually being there or being true. Now, I want you to practice saying the word banana just repeatedly, fast, for 30 seconds, but try to enunciate it. Okay, you ready? Banana, 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 banana. Okay. Well, Zephyr got really excited there. What happened for you? When you said banana for 30 seconds fast, just repeating and enunciating it, what did you notice? What happened to the meaning of the word banana? Did it still invoke the same mental image, the same taste, smell, experience? Or did it lose some of its impact as it blurred together? You might have noticed how weird the word started to sound and how it started to lose its meaning as it just became a pattern of syllables and sounds rather than a physical description of something. So what if we did that same process of loosening our grip on the meaning that we understand the word banana to have with a word that maybe we have criticized ourselves with, related to a story that we hold? Let's try this exercise using a word that describes a story that we hold tightly about ourselves. So for example, if we feel like we're not good enough, perhaps the word is imposter. If we feel like we're not smart enough, perhaps the word is stupid. If we feel like we're not attractive enough, perhaps the word is ugly. And what would happen if you take the next 30 seconds to pick that word about that story and do the same exercise that we did with banana, and really just repeat that word over and over and notice if the story holds less rigidity and less meaning to you, if that word starts to blend into itself and just become a pattern of syllables and sounds. What if I told you that if you could successfully, for the next 30 seconds, not think about my Australian Shepherd dog named Zephyr, I would give you $1 million? Could you do it? Okay, let's try. For the next 30 seconds, don't think about my dog Zephyr. So did you do it? Were you successful? So if you said no, that you were not successful in not thinking about my dog Zephyr for the past 30 seconds, then you probably noticed some processes happening inside of your mind. If you said yes, that you were successful, you were able to take those 30 seconds without thinking of my dog Zephyr, then I want to know how you did that. Most people will say, oh, well, I didn't think about your dog Zephyr because I told myself, don't think about the dog Zephyr. Well, in doing that, you were thinking about my dog Zephyr, right? And how often do we do that to ourselves? We spend so much time saying, I don't want to have this experience of anxiety, don't be anxious. But what happens is we can become tangled up in this process of trying to not have a thought. It's like we're playing tug of war with the thought, and the more that we pull, trying to have our way of not having this experience of this thought or feeling, the more it intensifies. What would it be like to say to ourselves, okay, we're having the thought that we're feeling a little bit anxious, and can we have that thought but still go about our day and do all the things that are important to us? That way, we're not engaged in this tug of war, this battle of trying to have thoughts, not have thoughts. Our language system is additive, which means that we can have new thoughts, we can build new thoughts into our minds, but we can't take away our thoughts. We can't make them go away, we can't reduce them. They are what they are. So oftentimes when we're trying to fight our thoughts, when we're trying to not have a thought, it only gets stronger because we're pouring more energy into that process of that thought. We're picking up that rope and engaging in the tug of war. So one of the ways that we can practice building space between our thoughts and ourselves is by naming them as they come. So we can tell ourselves as we're experiencing it, I'm having the thought that I'm feeling angry instead of I am angry. This is diffusion in action. This helps to not have us hold these thoughts so rigidly, so tightly, and so internalized. It allows us to say, here's the thought, and I'm going to still go do the thing that's important to me today. I don't have to wrap myself up in it. So thanks for listening. If you found this helpful, please click the subscribe button and follow along for more videos like this. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at alana.vz.lmft.